name is Joyce Yujing Lee, and this is Firewall Internet Cafe at Chinatown Soup in the Lower East Side of New York City. So this project is really interested in examining how information access works online. The project is investigating issues of translation, issues of internet freedom, and creates a space for the public to activate an art installation and become part of the project itself. People would come into the cafe and be able to enjoy free tea and free Wi-Fi and be able to simultaneously surf the internet in the US through Google search engine and compare those results with what they would see behind the Great Firewall of China on Baidu, which is the most popular search engine in China. I was very fortunate to work with Dan Pfeiffer, who is an artist and a technologist, and he specializes in creating internet-based work. The searches are all being compared in English and Chinese on Google and Baidu respectively through images only. We have a Chrome browser plugin called Firewall. It takes everything that's put into a Google or Baidu search and then translates it to the opposing language. So for example, if it's English, it's going to be translated into Chinese on Baidu, and then it pulls up the image searches that correlates with queries in both search engines. So even if you can't speak both languages or read and write in Chinese, you're able to use this plugin and get a really quick look at how internet censorship produces different image results in both countries. Dan and I specifically constructed Firewall to work this way because we wanted to make sure that the program and the experience would be accessible regardless of if you're a native English speaker or a native Chinese speaker, because pictures are universal. Firewall is a project that I initially thought of when I was in Beijing with a group of artists from North America. And I was working with James Elaine, a curator who's based in Beijing. We were working a lot with using VPNs so that the American artists were able to surf the internet freely while they were in Beijing. It was interesting to note the patterns that would happen as these artists were surfing the internet and seeing how censorship works online in China. I became curious about how people's understanding of different places are formed by what they see on the internet. Like the things that people who have no previous knowledge think of searching are often surprising and unusual because they don't have necessarily a historical or political context for their searches. So they'll think creatively about regular life and what are things that look different in life between China and the US.
For me, who grew up as a middle-class American, China is about as far removed from my kind of cultural base of understanding as anything I could think of. And I'm excited to be able to Google something and take a glimpse into what someone on the other side of the tunnel might be by doing at the same time. For me, it feels like touching back into that childhood curiosity of something that is so other, but at the same time, exactly the same.
We had 60 children come from PS 184, which is a public school here in Chinatown. A lot of children of immigrant families participate. And then also 2 college groups, Marymount Manhattan and the other from Jersey City University. It's been really interesting to see how, based on your age and your demographic, you think of searching different things. So a lot of the middle schoolers searched pop culture and video games and things like that. And it was interesting to think about what children online or young people online might be thinking about or what might be trending in China as well. Through our various events too, and inviting different Chinese nationals to participate and speak, we've really been able to capture American art audience and then also Chinese in New York City.
I'm from Taiwan, so basically know kind of situation a little bit, but I just want to come here to see how it actually show the differences. The term I type here in Chinese, I'm pretty sure it means what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's the correct words, but somehow they just show different things, which I am not sure why. Maybe just the way the search engine works differently, maybe. Yeah, but I just try to figure out some of the things. Is that really different?
I lived in China for 10 years. My life was impacted by censorship. I had to use a VPN just to get to Google, Gmail, Facebook, like normal things that in America we take for granted to use freely. This is important because it shines a light onto the way other people in other countries have to deal with censorship. And it made me realize where each country places their importance, especially when you put in political terms that are not sensitive in our country versus sensitive in China. For example, if you do a search on Tiananmen Square in Google, you see pictures of what actually happened in Tiananmen Square. When you do that in Baidu, there are only perfect pictures of the actual building in Tiananmen Square, and that's censored. But on the reverse side, is it censorship or is it just different perspective that when you search, let's say the term Black Lives Matter, in Google you get, a lot of posters or something relevant to the movement versus you search that term in Baidu and pictures of blackberries come up. One topic in one country has a lot of meaning versus in another country has zero meaning. How do we bring about conversations to create understanding and awareness around that topic?
It's been interesting to see people's reactions to the differences in images and also the subtle ways that images can communicate in ways that words can't, and how the photographs that are presented by one search engine really can represent a national perspective.